A weathered fence post stands alone in the morning mist. Its surface is blackened, cracked, and worn by countless winters. Rain has soaked it. Frost has frozen it. Summer heat has dried it again and again. By every modern expectation, it should have collapsed long ago. Instead, it is still standing. Not because medieval people had stronger wood, not because they used expensive oils. The real secret was far simpler. Wood doesn't rot because it gets old. It rots because we let water stay. For medieval farmers, every fence protected valuable livestock and precious crops. Replacing posts every few years meant cutting more trees, spending more time, and wasting hard work. So they didn't search for stronger wood. They learned how to make nature work for them. And the deeper you look, the more surprising their methods become. We often imagine medieval fences as rough, temporary structures, but archaeology tells a different story. Excavations across Europe reveal carefully built fences, wells, and timber structures that survived far longer than expected. Even where the wood has disappeared, the post holes show deliberate choices in placement, drainage, and construction. That raises an important question. If medieval people had no modern preservatives, why do traces of their timber still remain? The answer begins with something surprisingly simple. Not all wood is the same. Experienced woodworkers knew that some trees naturally lasted much longer than others. One of their greatest advantages was heartwood, the dense inner core of an older tree. Unlike sapwood, which carries water through a living tree, heartwood is naturally more resistant to moisture, insects, and decay. Modern builders often choose wood for price and availability. Medieval builders chose wood for survival. But selecting the right tree was only the first step. Even the best timber could fail if water collected in the wrong place. Most people think a fence post fails because rain falls on the top. But the real danger lies underground. Rot usually begins just below the soil surface, where damp earth and fresh air create the perfect conditions for fungi. The medieval solution wasn't to protect the entire post. It was to protect the place where decay actually starts. Some builders shaped the lower end so water drained away more easily. Others packed coarse stones around the base to keep moisture from collecting. In rocky regions, wooden structures were even raised on stone foundations to separate them from wet ground. Another forgotten technique looked almost destructive. Before setting a post into the earth, some craftsmen lightly burned the lower section over a slow fire. Today we call this wood charring. Centuries before wood preservatives came in cans, people across different parts of the world had already discovered the value of fire. From rural Europe to Japan, craftsmen noticed that wood briefly exposed to flame often endured harsh weather longer than untreated timber. They may not have understood the chemistry, but they understood the results. Like many medieval skills, wood charring was never invented by one person. It spread slowly through observation, shared experience, and generations of practical craftsmanship. They weren't trying to burn the wood. They were changing how it reacted to moisture. A simple experiment shows the idea. Place 2 identical wooden stakes outdoors, leave one untreated, lightly char the other before exposing both to rain and change in weather. Over time, the difference begins to appear. Because of the old lesson remains true. Wood doesn't rot because it gets old. It rots because we let water stay. But fire was only one part of the system. The greatest secret was understanding how water moved through the landscape itself. That simple observation changed how medieval people built almost everything from fences to barns. The greatest mistake we make today is believing medieval wood survived because of one miracle treatment. It wasn't the fire, it wasn't the oil, it wasn't even the tree alone. It was the entire system. Experienced farmers knew that slow-growing trees often produced denser wood that resisted moisture longer. They also preferred heartwood, the older inner core of the tree, because experience had shown it lasted far longer than sapwood. Even the season mattered. Many trees were cut during winter, when moisture movement inside the wood was lower, helping the timber dry more evenly before it was used. Whether every traditional belief was scientifically perfect mattered less than one fact. People observed, they remembered, and they repeated what worked. Generation after generation, practical knowledge became stronger than theory. Modern science is only now explaining why so much of that experience was right. Today we know that rain alone does not destroy wood. Fungi do. But fungi need three things: moisture, oxygen, time. That is why fence posts usually rot at ground level. It is the one place where damp soil and fresh air meet, creating perfect conditions for decay. The medieval solution was surprisingly simple. Keep that area as dry as possible. Improve drainage. Choose naturally durable wood. Modern research also confirms why species like oak, chestnut, and black locust earned such lasting reputations. Their heartwood naturally contains compounds that slow fungal decay. Try a simple experiment. Place two identical fence posts outside. One stands in wet soil. The other is surrounded by gravel so water drains away. After a few years, the difference speaks for itself. The wood never changed. Its environment did. These forgotten lessons are still useful today. If you are building a fence, start by thinking about water before thinking about chemicals. Choose naturally durable wood whenever possible. Allow rainwater to drain away from the base. Avoid trapping moisture around the post. Even a shallow layer of gravel can make a surprising difference. If you're interested in traditional woodworking, you can also experiment with light wood charring on outdoor projects. Used carefully, it creates a protective outer surface that has been trusted for centuries. Sometimes, the simplest solutions remain the most effective. Return to that weathered fence post standing quietly in the morning mist. It survived not because medieval people possessed secret chemicals. It survived because they understood something we often overlook. They watched the forest. They watched the rain. They learned that every material follows the rules of nature. Their greatest preservative was never hidden inside a barrel. It was hidden inside observation. Because in the end, the strongest protection was never against time. It was against standing water. And perhaps that's the quiet lesson still waiting inside every old fence that refuses to fall.